Yo, Aiden.
Yeah?
What do I do if God's calling me to do something, but I just don't feel ready?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. Sounds like you're pulling a real Jonah.
What? Let's gossip about that. But I mean, people have these tough questions about theology.
Can man choose salvation?
If God's so good, why does he let bad things happen?
Why should I want to get to heaven?
Or does God predestine salvation for man?
I want to know the truth. I want to seek the truth out. I want to seek through Scripture and find God's truth.
What's up, Gospers? So this podcast exists to build up young adults by exploring the true nature of ministry. But if I'm being honest with y'all, sometimes I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do what God is calling me to. It can be uncomfortable. It could feel like I'm in over my head. So what do we do in times like that when we know God's calling us to do something, but we don't want to do it? I mean, can we trust God enough to do these things He's calling us to? You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, sometimes I just really don't want to.
Yeah.
So how does that even work? You know? That's a question.
Yeah. It's a tough question. Well, I mean, earlier what we had said, you know, that kind of sounds like a Jonah.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think we mean by that sounds like a Jonah?
Well, Jonah, you know, God had this big calling on him to go to Nineveh to preach the word, right? Let them know what's going on.
Yeah, the message.
Yeah.
That God has given him.
And Jonah was like, those Ninevites, man, they're too scary. That seems like way too much for me to handle.
Yeah.
You know, and so he was just like, I'm not going to do that. He went the complete opposite way. Mm-hmm. So like he wasn't trusting God in that moment. He was like, these Ninevites, God, they seem bigger than my trust in you. And what's interesting is as I was reflecting on that passage is he didn't only put the Ninevites in danger for not giving them what God had given him to tell them, but he was also putting the sailors on the ship that he was kind of running away with. You know, he put them in danger too.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, his disobedience really put a lot of people in danger.
Wow. Dude, I did not think about that. I thought about just like the fish slapping and VeggieTales.
The fish slapping. Jonah was a prophet. Okay.
Sorry. But yes, that's the thing we're talking about today is God is calling you to do something. But what happens when we don't do that? What does it mean when we don't follow what the Lord is guiding us to?
Right.
And I think Jonah's a perfect example of, you know, like that's a sin.
Yeah. And quite frankly, it's a really common sin. I mean, I've done that before, you know.
Yeah.
God's called me to do things, and I'm like, you know, at times I'm also like this would take something away from me that I don't want taken away.
Yeah. Like
my time, my comfort, you know. Mm-hmm. Like going on a mission trip, I'd rather stay here and chill over spring break.
Yeah. Well, and so just being completely honest for a second, you know, we were going to start this episode or this podcast last semester.
Start the season.
Yeah, yes. We were going to start second season last, you know, in 2024 in the fall of 2024. We didn't.
Oh.
And we knew we wanted to. We knew God was still saying like, hey, there's still something here that you guys need to do. It's this podcast. And we already discussed it. We had this plan. We were going to go for it. But then the stress of life came up. I had you know, I was too busy. I didn't really want to. I had other priorities. You know, I'm supply preaching and getting married or working out how to propose to someone. That was quite a bit of stress. And honestly, the third one was laziness.
Yeah.
Like, those were the three main things that held me back from doing this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, because I was comfortable at the time.
Yeah.
Like, while I had all these other adult and college student priorities, after that, I was, like, comfortable. I'm like, I don't want to get rid of that comfortability, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of scared me, you know, like, how much time am I going to lose for this? But now that we've started it, I mean, we're just finishing up season 2 now.
Yeah.
We're 10 episodes past where that mindset was. And I'm like, every step of the way, I've been like, wow, the reward was so much greater than that small amount of fear I had. And I would have never recognized that if I hadn't done it.
Yeah.
You know, if we just hadn't jumped into it. I'm really grateful for whatever he is, our advisor.
Our advisor,
Yeah, our advisor.
JB.
He just gave us the
He gave
down
us
low.
tough love.
Yeah,
really.
he was like, if you guys just don't start this now, like you guys have wasted a whole semester of saying you're going to do this. If you don't start this now, I'm out. I'm not going to help you guys anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. So we got back into it, and the thing is, it wasn't like people weren't wanting this content. We had people all around campus.
People were wondering why.
People in our own separate, personal lives, and they're like, hey, where is this?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I didn't think people were gonna miss it. I thought no one would know that we weren't recording.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. So looking at Jonah, looking at the thing we went through, when we, not deny, but when we don't obey something that God is calling us to, we're actually downplaying the message of the gospel.
Really?
Because what did Jonah do? Jonah was being called by God to deliver this message to Nineveh. What did he do? That's not important. Not to me, at least. It's not important to me. I don't want to. I'm going to run away from that.
Wow.
So he's downplaying the message. And really, the saving message of Nineveh.
Dude.
And when God is calling us to something, he's not calling us to become something great for our own good. He's calling us to forward the kingdom. And that's to forward the message.
Yeah.
So when we're not obeying where he's leading, we're actually downplaying the way that he's spreading his gospel.
Dude. Well, I've never thought about it that way. And I certainly agree that stutter. I certainly agree that that downplaying I think comes from a place of selfishness.
Yeah.
But also what happens, when, because for Jonah this was like he thought this was a life or death situation. If I go there, I'm gonna be killed.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't downplay that.
No.
Like, for as much as we use Jonah as a horrible example, he's also a great example of a lot of people like ourselves.
Yeah, like me. Yeah, because and for Elijah, another example, this great prophet for the Lord, right? Elijah ran away because he was like, "Whoa, Jezebel's gonna kill me."
Yeah.
His trust in God wavered.
Yeah.
It's like in that moment, Jezebel seemed bigger than God to him, so he ran away. So I feel like that's a lot of people. Well, I mean, our Utah sponsors, those guys, Matt and Chandra, yeah.
Yep. Not Chandra.
I've always pronounced her name wrong. They had also a big task, and there's a lot of people like that where God calls them to move away from what they know.
Yeah.
And that can be very scary.
Yeah.
That could be very daunting.
Yeah. What would happen if they didn't go to Utah and plant that church?
There'd be a lot of people's lives still in sin and hurt and pain.
Lives would be at risk.
Yes. But also at the time, their lives seemed at risk,
Yeah.
Everything we know, we're supposed to just take that 18 hours away.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of prayer.
Yeah. Because they were told by friends, colleagues, hey, you don't want a church plant in Utah. It's going to fail. Like you don't want to do that.
Yep.
I I don't think we were necessarily told that for our podcast, but I definitely thought that. I definitely thought, why would I record another season?
Yeah.
Like, what does it really matter?
Just could use my time. I feel like I could be doing other things for you, God.
Yeah.
And then we were trying to be like telling God what to do.
Yeah.
No, I think this is better.
Hey, this actually makes me better. We should do this.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You should do this.
Oh
with me.
man. Yeah, we thought we were smarter than God.
Yeah.
In that time. And I mean, there's a lot of examples like that. God calling people even today to go away from what they know, and that's not just like you losing your comfort. That's like it seems like a huge loss for you.
Yeah.
Because we don't see what we could gain, because we're only human.
Yes.
Right, so what are ways that we can have a mindset of trusting God, or or just being obedient? What do we do with that?
Yeah. I was just thinking of something and it left my mind, so you might have to come back to me.
That's all right. I've got. So
you got 4 pages of notes?
Yeah. No, I wrote this verse down, Luke 22:42, because if I want a perfect example of anything, I look to Jesus. Luke 22, verse 42.
Dude, my scripture was in Luke.
That's crazy. I just love the Gospel of Luke, man. So Jesus is here in the Garden of Gethsemane. He is about to be, brought in to be crucified, and he's just praying to God, and he's saying, Father, if you were willing, remove this cup from me, this burden of the crucifixion, let this pass from me. But nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. I was like, that is just the perfect mindset in prayer to have. Certainly go to God with everything you have.
Yeah.
Pray to him and ask him. But at the end of the day, just have a realization, Father, not my will, but yours be done. Simply for the fact that he is God, but also because he is God and his will and ways are higher and greater than ours.
Yeah.
The outcome of his will is going to be greater 100% of the time, more than whatever we can think of. So I mean, even if we're like, for example, like Abraham, let's say God's calling us to another land,
Yeah.
Just to get up and start going. You're like, wow, that seems, God, I have all the picture there.
That's a hard thing.
What am I supposed to do with that? And God's like, I've got the whole picture. Just trust me. That's a really daunting thing to even comprehend,
Yeah. But I need to ask, what do you think? So following the will of God, it's usually something that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
We're talking about Jonah, talked about Abraham leaving, and you think Moses and bringing the people out of Egypt.
Right.
Jesus bearing the cup of the sacrifice, his body that he's going to lay down. What does it mean to do the hard thing? Because I think a lot of times in this world, we're really told to be comfortable. We're really told to not do the hard thing.
Ask that again.
So what do you think it means to do the hard thing?
Right. Thinking about that, and I'm like, to do the hard thing means to say yes, even when we're weak and uncomfortable.
Yes.
Is just to say yes to God.
What do you mean? You're gonna have to explain that.
Yeah. So I have a verse here, that really complements that. 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. My grace is sufficient, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
Yeah.
Like doing. I think the hardest thing that we can do is just to say yes to God, because not only are we battling, the fear of what that might be, what that might look like in the change.
Yeah.
Also, because the world is telling us not to say yes.
Yeah.
Also, we're battling our own flesh and saying yes. The hardest thing, I think, is to say yes to God, and just to lean on his strength rather than your own.
Yeah.
Because when we're weak and uncomfortable or unprepared, that's where God shows up. When we're uncomfortable, when we stop being comfortable, that's where faith begins, I would say. I feel like that's the hardest thing. But then once you get past that hump, I feel like you're just like, wow, that should have been a lot easier. You know, God's actually had this beautiful thing prepared, and so many people have been impacted from this thing I thought would never amount to anything. I thought this was so minor.
Yeah.
You know? Like Matt, like for example, again, Matt and Chandra going to start a church in a place where there are none.
Yeah.
Really. And what's that going to amount to? Now so many people's lives are changed.
Yeah.
Faith starts where comfort ends. That's the quote I wrote down.
Faith what?
Faith starts where comfort ends.
Whoa.
I thought that was pretty good.
Dang. Where'd you get that from?
I don't remember.
Oh. I actually, so this high school teacher and coach I had for track, and then I think he was a biologist. But I mean he led the one of the science classes. I don't remember what it was, but he sends out like a Wednesday encouragement quote every Wednesday. And the one he sent yesterday, it was crazy, but it says, you know, endurance isn't being strong all the time. It doesn't mean being strong all the time, but it means trusting in God. That means showing up when it's difficult, doing the hard thing. So going in when it's hard, continually meeting with the Lord. That's what it means to have endurance. That's what it means to do the hard thing.
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking about like the world telling us not to, right? Like having endurance in that. Oh, the world's saying no, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But this just came as like we don't need to wait for a green light from anyone else if God's already given us the go ahead to do it.
Yeah, it's showing up when you're tired, because like Jonah, if Jonah would have just went, you know how much more energy he spent trying to leave?
Dude.
You know how hard he tried to get on the boat and drift away, and then he's swallowed by a whale, and then he's spit out by giant fish, and then he's spit out by this fish, and then has to walk all the way to Nineveh, and then walks all the way through Nineveh, and then gives the message. That is harder to run away. Like if we could turn that energy around, be like, okay, Lord, you know, this is going to be difficult, and I don't really see where you're going to take this, but I'm going to trust it anyway.
Dude, for real. Wow. And I'm thinking about that too. And this Tuesday, we had a really good speaker, had a really good sermon in chapel, and one of the things he said that really stuck with me was that ministry is not based on our convenience.
Yeah.
God does not stop working when it's inconvenient for us.
Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, so like, who are we to be like, I don't feel like doing that today, Lord?
Yeah.
We just got to put our trust in him. Even because I feel like the most beautiful change happens when we're not comfortable, when we're not ready. That's when real lives are changed. When we just put our trust in God and his strength and his plan. Wow.
Dude, there's a lot of times, kind of side note, but it goes with this. There's actually a lot of times where I'll write sermons for supply preaching or class, and I'm like, dude, I just bombed that. Like, that was not good. I myself was like, that wasn't really, I don't know, that wasn't my best.
Yeah.
I didn't do my best. I should have done better. I should have prayed more. I should have studied more. I should have practiced more.
The same thing happened with youth group lessons.
Yeah, and it's like, that's actually what people needed to hear, and it's not when we shine. But it's when we glorify the Lord the most.
Yeah, I think I said this last episode, maybe a couple episodes ago. Ministry is not about like making a mark for yourself, but making room for God to make his.
Yeah. And what it means to truly do the hard thing is putting yourself kind of in the background sometimes.
Yeah.
Really,
wow.
it really means setting yourself aside and getting in the path of the Lord. Like that, dude, that's difficult.
That's so difficult. So I've got to say no to my wants. I've got to say no to my desires, my flesh. I've got to say no to all of that.
Yeah.
And that's those things are what the world tells me is what is most important.
Yeah.
That's not what God tells me is most important.
Yeah.
So I've got to wrestle with that.
Dude, I'm glad we're doing this podcast.
For real. I mean, and we're saying all these things. We're really laying out this issue and the different aspects that at least we have knowledge of about it, that we've experienced. But how do we wrestle with this uncertainty, this fear of doing ministry when it's hard? You know, I think, man, this sounds like such a Sunday school answer, but it really is the most powerful. I feel like just talk to God about it. Because this is such a difficult issue. You just need to take it straight to the Father. This uncertainty that only He can help you to understand, that only He can give you comfort in. Just talk to God about it.
I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Jonah talk to, I mean, we know he talked to the Lord a little bit, but did he talk to the Lord after he denied him? Or did he just try to run?
He just tried to run. He didn't ask God, Father, is this really going to be this dangerous as I'm thinking it? Are you going to help me out here? Or,
and then he was like,
he was gone. He was gone. Elijah, you know, when he thought Jezebel was going to kill him, he wasn't like, Father, protect me from Jezebel. He's like, oh man, I'm going to find the nearest cave and hide.
Yeah.
It's like this, it's just so difficult when we don't talk to God about it. Can't stress the most important thing to do in times of uncertainty like this, in times where it seems like the hardest thing to do is just to say yes.
Yeah.
It's to just talk to God about it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's to put those thoughts into the physical and actually speak them to the Lord.
Yeah, the creator of the universe, he'll talk to you if you just talk to him. I would also encourage another really good way to help with this, as I've found, is to find a mentor or a group of peers that you just do life with.
Like me and Matt.
Just a discipleship group or something, you know? Small group.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they're going through the same stuff and the Lord's speaking to them and they can point out things that you haven't thought of. Because we're only human. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just looking at me now? That's crazy.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
That's what I had to say about that. Those are the things that were really on my heart. Just like, this is what you got to do. You know, this is the best way out of this.
There's purpose in the pressure.
There's purpose. Whoa. Dude, get that on a t-shirt. At least a headband or something.
Dude, let's put it on a hat.
There's purpose in the pressure. Because God doesn't just like, God's a good parent. He doesn't just give us this stuff and just gives us all the answers, you know. He grows us. He grows us.
Yeah.
You know, what's the big sanctification?
Yeah, he sanctifies us.
That's the big word. Man. Dude, I love God. I love our God, man.
Me too, bro.
He's so good. I just wish I'd trust in him all the time. I feel like if I just trust in him all the time.
Dude, stop being a Jonah.
Dude, my bad. If I just trust him all the time, things would be so much easier. Why don't I do that?
Yeah. Well, they're hard too.
It's hard.
It'd be really hard. I don't know if I could do Jonah's task because, I mean, I can kind of get on a tangent, but I struggle talking to people here. You know, even on campus about the gospel.
Yeah.
How am I going to do that in the real world?
These people I know are Christians. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable to even bring up Jesus.
Yeah.
Because, there's just this fear that the enemy places in our hearts.
Yeah. That was a little side tangent. But
Yeah. It was good, though.
yeah.
So, this season has really been about doing ministry. I feel like all the other 9 episodes up to here has been like, what is that about? What are the different avenues of this? Are we okay to just go ahead and start this? Do we need credentials to do this? You know, what is that?
Yeah.
And now this episode's just like, okay, go and do that.
Go and do it.
Go and do it. Go
Yeah.
do the hard thing.
Yeah. Trust the process of learning.
Trust the Lord.
Trust the process of sanctification.
Do we trust God enough to do what he's calling us to do?
Yeah.
Don't put it off.
And don't follow our example.
Yeah. Put it off for many months.
Many months.
Yeah.
Many months.
Man. Dude, this is the end of season 2.
It is. Dude,
Wow.
what are we going to do after this? Like,
dude, I don't know. Maybe do another 8 seasons. I don't know about that.
you want 10 seasons of gospel gossip?
10 seasons, 10 episodes each season? That's
100?
Oh, is that 100? I was about to say 1,000 episodes. I'm a Bible college student. I don't know how to do math.
1,000.
Dude, the best math I know is counting prayers. And
That would
blessings.
be 100 seasons, 10 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you guys for riding along with us on this crazy season of
Yeah.
us being goofy and talking about the truth of the Lord.
Yeah.
Or at least trying to, you know?
Mm.
So, and we encourage you guys, as we always do, seek the truth for yourself. You know? Seek the truth. Seek the Lord. And just explore what it means to do ministry, to just live for God. by
Also,
serving others.
let us know if we're going to be dropping season 3. We need to know how maybe we can improve. What are some things you guys want to talk about?
Mhm.
What are some things you guys want to hear? What are some questions you have? And man, we'll see you, gossipers. It's been real.
Deuces. Yo, and you, Johnny. Yo, Aiden.
Yeah, this Bible is way... What?
Yo, what? Yo, Aiden.
Dang it, you got me when I was scratching my eye again.
No.